Hey, alright, it's that time now to talk about the films we did not like from 2014. Austin was actually quite fortunate, and although seeing quite a few bad movies, he didn't see, more than 10, or even probably 10. So he doesn't actually have a list, but I do. I'm going to go off my list, and he'll just kind of follow me on the films that he saw with me that are on this list, and towards the end, he'll go ahead and just mention a few films that may not be on this list. Had to get the cat out of the room. Yeah. So, all right. So my number 10. Okay. So I actually gave this film. We both actually gave this film an okay review, but it's one of those movies that the more and more I think about it, the more I kind of dislike it.
What, 300?
No, it's not 300. It's actually Exodus: Gods and Kings.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually. I guess I don't know if I should say I hate the film. I mean, this is called my most hated movies. But the more I think about it, just the more I think about how bland it was and how emotionless and dull it was. The more I just kind of cringe at thinking about it.
How weird it was watching him in the main role, even though he did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see. I know you wanted that movie to be good.
I really did
because it was for his brother or whatever.
Well, and I like Ridley Scott.
And also, I mean, it's a good story and everything, but
absolutely.
It is just
misfire. Yeah, misfire. We won't get into that.
The guy that played the Pharaoh was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I always forget his name, but yeah, he was pretty good. Okay, so my number 9 is this is one I did talk about this in a review, but not that long, not for very long. A Million Ways to Die in the West. I really hate that movie. I came into it really wanting to like it.
You asked me if I wanted to go see that with you, and I was like, eh.
I had a lot of faith in that film because I really liked Ted, and I wanted to believe that despite how crappy Family Guy has become, that Seth MacFarlane can still make another good film like Ted, which maybe I think he does. I think he is going to make another Ted film. Maybe that'll be good. Who knows? But man, this movie sucked. This is like everything that I hate about a bad comedy film, especially a modern day bad comedy film. Mm-hmm. Jokes that maybe not the jokes are. It's not that the jokes aren't necessarily funny, but they're just
structure.
There's no structure to. They're horribly placed, and we talked about this a lot in the interview review.
It's
good comedy.
It's like watching a live action Family Guy, where it's just a bunch of cutaway gags.
Except it's over 2 hours,
mm-hmm.
So it just drags on, and it's end scene. Here's a little funny gag. That's the end of that scene, and some of those I was okay with in the beginning, but as the movie kept going on and kept doing a lot of the same crap that he does in Family Guy that I don't like that he does in Family Guy.
Yeah.
It's the more I just stopped putting up with it, and I was like, this is actually starting to really annoy me.
Yeah.
Terrible. I thought it was terrible. I hated that movie. Number 8, Sabotage. Very disappointing.
Oh, man.
Very, very disappointing.
The thing about that movie, for me, it was just the characters that we're supposed to care about are just so unbearably unlikable.
Mm-hmm.
You just hate these characters, and they're supposed to be the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get that they're supposed to be gritty. I get that they're not supposed to be charming. I get that they're supposed to be these tough as nails mercenaries.
There's a difference between
Absolutely.
that and what they did in this movie. These people are just bad people.
Yeah. They totally deserve everything that happens to them in that movie.
I mean, when you're watching a movie like this and these main characters are dying off and you literally feel no sympathy, you know that's a bad sign.
Yeah, I felt so kind of depressed towards the end watching it. It's so hard for an Arnold action film to displease me,
I mean,
Arnold, there are some. I
love Arnold and everything, and he was okay in that movie, but even his character was kind of unlikable.
I think acting-wise, it's actually one of his best performances in a long time. His character, I didn't. Actually, I think it's actually one of the things where when you look at the whole story, because it's a very complex story.
Yeah.
When you look at everything that he intends to do, I actually kind of like it because and the whole movie you're like, where is this going? And then at the end when you kind of realize that it's actually all like a revenge story, I actually did like that, but due to poor structure, a poor dialogue, and so on and so forth, we've already unlikable characters, it just didn't work, and it kind of fell flat in the end. But acting wise, I actually do think Arnold did a really good job.
A lot of the characters were very unlikable, but I think the film would have been better if it wouldn't have been for the girl in the group. She was the worst.
The drug addict?
I hated her so much.
Again, acting-wise, that I can't remember that. I know she's actually pretty well known. I think she's done a lot of television work. I think she might be known for kind of playing that kind of character. She did a really good job, but yeah, she was very obnoxious at times. I feel... I don't know. See, like, you don't need, like, my rule is, I don't know, I shouldn't say rule, but for me, when I'm watching a movie, for me, a good protagonist either has to be likable or interesting. They don't even have to be likable. Like, they can be these mean, tough as nails characters like in Sabotage, but they at least have to be interesting enough that they're worth investing into, you know? Like, there has to be something about them that even though they're not good people, you still want to watch this character. This is totally not the same movie as Sabotage, but Gran Torino. Clint Eastwood's character in Gran Torino, he's a racist, he's a grumpy old man. In the beginning, he's very unlikable, and he becomes more likable as the movie goes on.
Now about his character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but like, but like, the thing is that there's so much like. Clint Eastwood does such a good job playing the character, but also the way how his character was presented, the story that this character is in, there's enough for you to be interested in the character.
He develops.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the thing to do. He actually
in Sabotage, no one develops.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone stays the
same. That's true. There's no arc for any of the characters.
Well, maybe in the beginning of Arnold's character, maybe.
Not really, though, because in the beginning, he's bitter and he wants revenge, and at the end, he screws everyone over to get revenge. He gets his revenge and he dies. And that's like all there is to it. So, yeah, it really is. There is no... You're right. You're absolutely right. You're completely on the roll. There's no interesting factor because nothing changes. So...
I think
We've talked more than enough about Sabotage.
I think my final straw in that movie was the scene when they were all at Arnold's house and the investigator came over.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
And they were just being...
The really like buffed up one, like the biker guy, like he's like flirting with the detective chick, and she like sprays like beer on him. He's like, "No, lick it off!" Like it's like. I remember. I know. Yeah, exactly. We've talked enough about Sabotage. Yeah. We did like a 40.
Well, it's okay. He got his. That director did a better job.
He did Fury, so it's okay. Yeah. My number 7. This should have been higher on the list because we had so much fun with it, but it is still a worse film than the other ones. My number 7 is Dracula Untold.
Oh man,
this was
poor Luke Evans.
This was every bit as bad as you and I expected it to be. Man, was that was funny.
Man, we saw that trailer so many times. What was the first movie that we saw that trailer?
I don't remember.
Like
what was maybe
like
Sebastian
Hercules, maybe, or like 300, maybe.
I want to say 300.
Okay.
Because I feel like Sebastian was with us when we saw the trailer.
But, oh man.
Man, that was...
freaking movie.
So bad. It was... Oh, boy. Alright.
I like Luke Evans.
He was good, yeah.
I mean, he tried his best.
He tried, yeah.
He didn't really have much going on.
My number 6, you didn't see this one with me, but Sebastian did. I think the title was The Legend of Hercules. So not the Dwayne Johnson Hercules, but the one that was released before that. With Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins is the villain. And this movie felt like... It felt so like direct-to-DVD.
Really?
Like it felt so low quality that like...
Did it have like a big budget?
I'm actually not sure, but this CGI at times was so bad that like it was borderline like PlayStation 1 CGI cutscenes bad. Like if
Yeah,
as if it was made in the 90s.
Yeah, I've heard you guys talk about this.
Like
yeah.
I don't know if it was the opening shot, but one of the first shots is an army invading a city, and it's all digital, and it looks like it looks like you're playing the beginning of a video game on like the PS1. Like it looked so bad, and the only redeemable thing was Scott Adkins really camping it up as the villain, who is a freaking awesome martial arts actor.
I mean, is the CGI the only thing that made it bad? I mean,
no, there were plenty of other things. That's just one of the most hilarious parts of it. That and Scott Adkins camping it up. The action is really weak because, unlike Dwayne Johnson's Hercules, which was PG-13 yet still very shockingly brutal at times, and it still showed a lot of the action, a lot of the deaths that are happening. Mm-hmm. You see people's throats getting slit. You see people getting impaled. This movie was the bad kind of PG-13 where, cut away. Person's about to get stabbed, cut away from it. We can't show it. There's one part in the beginning when Scott Adkins kills, like, the leader of the army that was invading, if I recall, or I can't remember, but he's killing the leader of an army, so he's, like, won the battle. And you see him, it's off screen, and then you see him lift up with his sword the helmet on the top, and it was like, yeah, I guess they can't show the head being decapitated, can they? Because it's PG-13. Like, they can only show the helmet. Like, and as far as, like, the look of it and the feel of it was just so... It was such a subpar, like, ripoff of Gladiator and 300.
Did it look like it was supposed to be was shot as an R and then was edited away, or did it look like it was shot as a PG-13?
I would have to rewatch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so... I'm gonna guess it was shot as an R because it was... I think Dwayne Johnson's Hercules was shot as an R too, because there is an unrated cut to that, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. But even that film still managed to be pretty brutal at times, and even bloody at times, whereas this one was not. And the relationship that Hercules and the love interest have, there's like no chemistry between them. And it really, plot-wise, it's very much a ripoff of Gladiator.
Really?
Very much. Hercules gets screwed over by Scott Adkins, and he becomes... He gets, like, thrown into slavery in the Colosseum and fights his way to the top and rebels. It's really, really just bland. But the editing was so hilariously bad at times. So it was... Sebastian and I kind of debated if it was so bad it's worth watching, and Sebastian said ultimately it wasn't quite funny enough to. I was like... if you grab some friends and some booze, you could have some fun with this movie. So, that's number 6.
No, that's a good thing, but...
Yeah. This next one is one that you did not see. My number 5 is No Good Deed. The movie that...
I know what it is. We saw many trailers for it.
This had no reason to be theatrically released. This was a Lifetime original film with...
What do you mean by that?
Just the storyline. It's such a generic home invasion film. This is not a movie that gets a theatrical release. I remember when you first saw... I saw the trailer before you did.
Really?
And I remember this because when you first saw the trailer, whatever movie we're at, you told me, like, so wait, the movie is just about this guy, like taking over the house? Like, apparently, that's the movie. Stupid characters.
Well,
really... poorly made, and it is PG-13, so a lot of weak, kill moments.
And you told me, like, after you saw it, you told me, like, pretty much the whole thing of the movie is, like, he, like, goes in there, and, like, she can't get out, and, like, she'll, like, a bunch of times she'll, like, knock him out or something. And
there are so many times.
She'll, like, try to get away, and then he'll, like, wake up right before she gets away, and then, like, capture her again.
But she'll do the stupidest things after she knocks him out. She runs up the stairs. She does this or that. There's a moment where she stabs him in the freaking stomach. And he gets like, don't ever do that again. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, what? What really made it fun was the audience we were with. This is a movie that, like...
Did you see it with someone?
Logan and I dragged Logan to it.
Okay.
I felt kind of bad bringing him to it because he didn't know anything about the movie going into it.
Oh.
And then right when he said, I was like, yeah, this movie's supposed to be really bad. And he was like, oh, it's like sorry, but but like the audience we were with, they were hilariously into it because every time the protagonist, you know, I don't know, took like a pan or something and hit the guy in the head and runs like every time like she would do something stupid, and in her own house. She would do something. She would run into like a dead end, and the girls behind me were just, "What are you doing, you moron? Again!" They're like cussing up a storm. It was so funny. I was like, "This is the kind of bad movie that's great to watch with this kind of crowd."
That kind of disappoints me because Idris Elba, the guy who played the main guy,
Yes.
I love him.
That's actually one of my point. He is the only good thing in the film. He's actually really freaking good in the film.
Really? Okay.
He actually was the only thing that kind of made me think twice for a second about putting the film on this list, was because he's actually really intimidating, and there's moments where he's like being charming, you know, he's like putting on the fake smile to like kind of charm us with it, and he actually pulls it off really good.
Yeah.
And in the beginning he's in prison, of course he breaks out, but in the beginning he's getting a bail hearing. And he puts on this like really sympathetic face, and he's like, not a day goes by that I don't think about what I did, and I promise I can change, blah, blah. And one of the guys that's hearing this basically says like, I don't believe you. I know like your type, you're narcissistic, you're schizophrenic, blah, blah, blah. And as this is happening, you start to see like his face transition into like the fake happy I'm redeemed face into like the evil face. He did it really well. And I was like, he honestly is the only saving grace in this film. So I will give credit to him. This movie is somewhat helped by him, but not enough to the point where I can't put it on the list. So that's my number 5. My number 4, here we go, Into the Storm.
Oh, yes!
This was amazing.
Oh, man.
We
saw a few trailers for this before we went, and we were excited.
This was so much fun.
Amazing.
This is, oh man, I almost missed the 90s because of this kind of film.
This is the 90s refusing to die.
This is it's like, you know, the found
like,
footage.
The weeks up until when we went to that movie, you kept like telling me you were like, can't wait to go see this 90s thriller.
Yeah, it's like this lost 90s film, you know, like, oh man, it was amazing. This film has such a great villain. A tornado.
Yeah. Well, the first kills that we see, is right when it starts off, and we see the kids in the car or whatever, and they're like, for whatever reason, they're out filming down the street, and you see this tornado coming, and it's like, you can't hear it, and it's like sneaking up on
It's a silent Michael Myers killer. Like, it kind of reminded me of, like, you know, because it's a found footage film. Well, terribly done found footage. It kind of made me think
of like half found footage.
It's kind of like, you know, say we will about the Paranormal Activity movies, but one gimmick in one of those films that did this kind of well was 3. Because in 3's not a very good film, but in 3 there's a scene, there's some moments where one of the cameras in the house that's like watching over the house, the guy put it, because it takes place in the 80s, the third one does, he puts it on a fan. So it's constantly like scanning across the living room. And there's a scene where a babysitter is like sitting in the kitchen just minding her own business, and we see her, and it kind of pans over here, then it comes back here, and then when it gets away from her again, all of a sudden you see supposedly one of the little girls with a sheet over her, just standing there, just like staring at her, like right when you pan over. And then it pans back to her, pans back, and she's gone, pans back to the babysitter, and all of a sudden she's right behind her. And then when the babysitter turns around, the sheet literally just like falls to the ground, like as if nobody was under it. So it's like clearly like a ghost or a demon, whatever. That was done really well. That's found footage, like sneaking up to you, found footage done right. You can't do that with a tornado.
They tried. Don't worry, they tried in this film. I think my favorite part of my favorite scene with this amazing villain was when they're running
We
away.
need to come up with like a name for it.
When they're
For-
running
for
away from this tornado in a car, and this tornado is like coming out, and they like leave the road, and this tornado is literally following them. Like they're like going back and forth, and it is like following their path.
And then they
It's
go
ridiculous.
into a church. They go into a church, and like one guy gets like left behind, like in between where the tornado church is, and that's when the tornado stops. Is right in front of the church.
And it just sits there, and then it lights itself on fire, and it sucks this. And then I also loved how that dude is the only one that gets sucked in. Everyone else is completely fine, but no, that dude gets sucked in. Oh
and what I love is that the scene usually like when that happens, when someone dies, and after that we get like the "it wasn't your fault, there was nothing you could do" scene. Quite the opposite. After that, Laurie from Walking Dead goes up to the guy who's in charge of the film crew, is like, "He's dead because of you, you know." Like, oh my!
You don't even care.
I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
All right,
Like,
into the storm. That was amazing. All right, and number 3 is Ouija. The less said about this, the better. There's just nothing about this film but jump scares. And yes, it's a generic throwaway, make a quick buck, PG-13 horror film that's kind of expected. But I mean it when I say that, like, unless I missed it, I counted. There was over 20 jump scares, if I recall, off the top of my head.
you said like 23.
Yeah. But not only that, but, like, there were no moments in the film, there were no scare tactics in the film other than jump scares.
Which is kind of misleading because the trailer, like, I didn't see this film with you, but I saw trailers with you. And the trailers made it seem like there was, like, stuff other than jump scares.
Really, there's not, though. There's really no moment. The only other time I can think of where there might be one is that a woman who's evil, that kind of, like, is in charge, who's kind of one of the reasons why the board is possessed or whatever. She kind of does, like, a very brief evil monologue. And I was like, okay, that part, you could argue that's supposed to be kind of scary. That's the only other part, though. There's no other parts where there's an evil speech or there's a creepy ghost or demon, like, talking. There's not a part where there's, like, something kind of
no atmosphere.
There's no atmosphere at all.
It's just pop scares.
It's pop scares and people just randomly dying. And again, in a PG-13 way. Like, it's one of the most, like, unambitious, like, theatrically released horror films I've seen in a while. Just terrible. So, number 2, I said I was going to do a review for this, but I decided not to. And it's going to be really hard to talk about this. But I really, really disliked this film. I feel like there is an audience for this movie, but it wasn't for me, and that's Inherent Vice. I was really disappointed with this movie. I was really looking forward to it. I love the director. I really do. But this was a miss, in my opinion. It was a mishit.
Well, you told me that I would have disliked it.
You, I can't see you liking this movie. But, like, look.
Would Sebastian have liked it?
I think he might have liked it. He might have.
Okay.
There are some art films that he and I mutually like. There are some art films that he and I mutually dislike. And then there are some that he likes that I don't like. I mean, he liked... I think he liked Only God Forgives, and I very much was disappointed by that film. But, and that's not in any way an insult towards Sebastian. That's anything about art films. It's all about opinions. And movies in general, of course. Look, I like the director's work, so before anybody that liked the film says, well, you should see some of his other movies, you know, it's like, it's not that. To me, this movie just doesn't do it right. I don't mind a movie being really complex if A, it's still entertaining, and B, the complexity has some kind of payoff to it. And I didn't get either of those in this. In the beginning, it was entertaining.
You told me it was just confusing.
It was, and you know what?
But like confusing in a bad way, like a way that never pays off.
That's my point, though. Yeah, it's like in the beginning, I was actually pretty entertained by it. There were a lot of jokes that I thought were pretty funny. And I was laughing at a lot of the jokes. Josh Brolin was awesome in it. He was really funny. The casting in general was really good. Even, I actually really liked Owen Wilson being in this very not Owen Wilson type movie. That was really cool. But
because Adam Sandler's not in it.
yeah, but well, I mean, he did Punch Drunk Love, but even and of course, Joaquin Phoenix is really good in it too. But it's like after a while, I was like, okay, I'm having a hard time following this movie, but where's the payoff to it? Like, for me, I didn't get that payoff. By the time the movie was over, I was so glad it was over. Because I was like, all right, thank you, it's over now, thank God. Like, it was just, a lot of it is just very much the same stuff. It's Joaquin Phoenix getting high, it's him going to a location, and a scene going on way longer than it should, and me just being confused.
Do you feel the length?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I very much did. The last half an hour, I was just slunged in my chair, just like doing this. Every 10 seconds when something, I'm not going to say pretentious, because that's just me being closed-minded, but something artsy that I don't like happens, I just like,
Yeah.
I facepalmed so many times. Again,
So it's like me watching Ninja Turtles.
yeah. Wow, that's not a fair comparison. It's like you watching. It's kind of like when you watched 2001. You
Okay.
know, like I like 2001. You did not, but like I like art films. I'm not closed-minded towards them, but for me, I'll admit I'm a little picky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it has to spoon-feed me everything. I'm not saying the plot has to make complete sense. I'm okay with it if it's a little in the dark. I'm okay with it if it's a little out there.
But just not too much like this.
Well, if it is like this, again, it needs to have a certain amount of entertainment to it still. Cinematography was gorgeous. The music was good. The acting was good. But it got to the point where I was bored. I was really bored. You know, like, okay, all right, here's a good example. Valhalla Rising, directed by Nicholas Refn, who did Drive and Only God Forgives. A really good film, an art film done right. I still don't know if I could. I watched that film like a year ago on Netflix. I don't know if I could really tell you what it's about. I really don't. I honestly don't know if I can sit here. I can give you plot points. I can give you kind of the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I can explain to you a lot of the deeper meanings or a lot of the motivations at parts. And it is a very slow film. It is. And that's definitely not an art film for everybody as well.
Yeah.
But there was something about that film that I was engaged into. There was something that was so just moody about it. It was so dark and weird, but for me, I was able to find entertainment in it.
Yeah.
So for me, that was an art film where even though I didn't quite follow it very well, I still found it really interesting, and I ultimately enjoyed it a lot. I just didn't get that from Inherent Vice. Very disappointed, and it just frustrated me. And again, that's nothing against fans of the film, because I know that when it comes to fans of Paul Thomas Anderson, a lot of them can get very defensive, but like it just didn't do it for me. So honorable mentions. Not even honorable mentions. I just want to say I didn't hate this film. I actually ultimately liked it. You did too. But I will say the most disappointing film of the year for me was Expendables 3. Although maybe Inherent Vice was slightly more disappointing, but it was one of the most disappointing films for the year. Still, ultimately found it enjoyable, but I was.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, but we were pretty let down by that film.
Well, I think the PG-13 had a lot to do with that.
It did. It definitely did. So, do you want to mention any films that I didn't talk about?
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much because I want people to just forget it. But Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah.
I hated that film so much.
Yeah. And you grew up with the Turtles, didn't you?
did.
I didn't. I didn't get the pleasure.
I love the Turtles so much, but this film was.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
Even though
Do you wanna talk about I know we both loved this film, but because we had so much fun with it, it wasn't a very good movie. But like 300.
Yeah, I can just talk about it briefly. I mean
I loved Ava Green in it. She was great. She made that movie.
Great. Yeah, she totally does. She totally does. I mean, I don't know if there's much to say.
Yeah.
We talked about that film to death already. Do you want to mention even though you didn't hate the film, do you want to mention briefly that you were very frustrated with Interstellar?
Yeah.
I liked it more than you did.
I love the cinematography. I loved like how they did space and everything like that. I just hated the ending.
Yeah. When the time stuff gets into it.
Because it was just
Too much.
too stupid.
Sure. I hear you. All right, well,
I think I already know what it is.
you definitely already know what it is. You don't want to talk about the Ninja Turtles. I don't want to talk about Transformers 4. That's my number one. I almost
Sebastian
knew.
and I both saw this with you.
I almost knew going into it that it was going to be number one. Like,
we literally had to drag you to that. You did not want to
I
see
was
that.
I was miserable watching it. It's everything that I hate about the Transformers movies.
Like, I think we mentioned this in the review, but there was a point halfway through the movie when you were sitting in the middle of us and you got up and you left to go do something, and it took you quite a while to come back, and 5 minutes after you left, we kind of looked at each other. Did you leave? Did you
I'll
leave?
tell you what happened. I walked out without saying a word. Went to the bathroom, and then when I got out of the bathroom, I just hung around the lobby for a while and went on my phone and checked Facebook and checked
The best
text
thing
messages.
about it, though, is once you got back, you were like, you didn't even have to ask me what you missed, because you didn't miss anything.
I don't care if I missed anything.
Because this movie
Unless it's the credits.
Because this movie, we've seen this movie 3 times already. It's the same thing as the other
It's
3.
so bad.
It was bad. It was so bad. I mean, and which is really disappointing because Mark Wahlberg was drug into it for whatever reason.
Yeah, he was fine. He was
ugh,
fine.
The daughter was so
The
annoying.
jailbait daughter.
I mean, this was a Michael Bay film through and through.
Product placement, PG-13. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Bud Light.
I totally forgot about that. Screw
There's a
Transformers
scene
4.
when
Screw this movie.
they're fighting in a city or whatever, and
I think by that point it was Tokyo.
was it Tokyo
I
at that
can't.
point?
That movie just blends
But
in as the same
anyway,
crap over and
There's
over
this
again.
huge bright blue, clean Budweiser truck. It was Budweiser,
Bud Light.
right? Oh, Bud Light.
I think it was Bud
truck.
Light.
And of course,
It was
the
blue.
Transformer or whatever smashes through it, and Bud Light cans go everywhere. And Mark Wahlberg, picks one up, cracks it open, and takes a drink. Refreshing.
Screw off. Alright.
The
That
whole
sucked.
movie, you were like this.
I was
and you
just
see-
slunged into my chair like, I hope I fall asleep. I do not want to be here. I think the part I laughed most was at the end credits when it said directed by Michael Bay. I think that's when
I think the entire room laughed at that.
it's just joke after joke thrown at you and not a single one funny.
I love
That's probably the most obnoxious thing about the
Remember,
Transformers films.
there's that guy in it who's like the comedian or whatever.
Yeah, what's it? I always forget his name. He was in Big Hero 6.
Really?
I actually don't think he's, as I've watched his stand-up, I don't think he's a bad comedian. But man, did they misuse him in this film.
And
They
when
abused him in this
when
film.
he died, no one cared.
And it was like 15 minutes into the
I know,
movie.
he
As
died,
if
and I
he's
was
a
like,
main character.
well, thank God that's over.
They just throw so many jokes at
And,
you, and not a
and,
single one of them are funny.
Dr. Crane. What's his name again?
Oh yeah, Kelsey Grammer was
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer's the
He
villain.
was pretty fun as the villain.
I completely forgot that Kelsey Grammer was the lead
Because
villain.
remember when the first time you see him, I heard you were like, is that Kelsey Grammer? What is he doing in this movie?
Frasier, no. I'm done talking about Transformers 4.
Okay.
I'm done. And you know what? It's probably not going to be much better this year.